Yeah. Salawat. Assalamu alaikum. Today I will be reciting verses 115 to 122 of Surah Al-Araf. These are some verses I have come across while reciting the Quran, and they give a small extract of the story of Prophet Musa. This is the part when he throws down his staff in front of the magicians of Pharaoh. من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قالوا يا موسى إما أن تلقي وإما أن نكون نحن الملقين قال ألقوه فلما ألقوا سحروا أعين الناس واسترهبوهم وجاءوا بسحر عظيم وأوحينا إلى موسى أن ألق عصاك فإذا هي تلقف ما يأفكون فوقع الحق وبطل ما كانوا يعملون فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا ساخرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين قالوا آمنا برب العالمين رب موسى وهارون صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. They said, O Moses, will you throw first, or shall we have the first throw? Moses said, you first. So when they did, they deceived the eyes of the people, stunned them, and made a great display of magic. When we inspired Moses, throw down your staff, and behold, it was swallowing what they had faked. So the truth came out, and their illusion failed. So they were overcome there and turned humiliated. And the magicians fell down in prostration. They declared, we now believe in the Lord of all worlds, the Lord of Moses and Aaron. Sadaqullah. Salawat.
Now, since we've entered the month of Sha'ban, inshallah we'll be reciting to start the program the Munajat al-Sha'baniyya for this month, which will also appear with the translation on the front screen as well. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد واسمع دعائي إذا دعوتك واسمع ندائي إذا ناديتك وأقبل علي إذا ناجيتك فقد هربت إليك ووقفت بين يديك
مستكينا لك متضرعا إليك راجيا لما لديك ثوابي وتعلم ما في نفسي وتخبر حاجتي وتعرف ضميري ولا يخفى عليك أمر منقلبي ومثواي وما أريد أن أبدئ به من منطقي وأتفوه به من طلبتي وأرجوه لعاقبتي وقد جرت مقاديرك علي يا سيدي فيما يكون مني إلى آخر عمري من سريرتي وعلانيتي وبيدك لا بيد غيرك زيادتي ونقصي ونفعي وضري إلهي إن حرمتني فمن ذا الذي يرزقني وإن خذلتني فمن ذا الذي ينصرني إلهي أعوذ بك من غضبك وحلول سخطك إلهي إن كنت غير مستأهل لرحمتك فأنت أهل أن تجود علي بفضل سعتك إلهي كأني بنفسي واقفة بين يديك وقد أضلها حسن توكل عليك ففعلت ما أنت أهله وتغمدتني بعفوك إلهي إن عفوت فمن أولى منك بذلك وإن كان قد دنا أجلي ولم يدنني منك عملي فقد جعلت الإقرار بالذنب إليك وسيلتي إلهي قد جرت على نفسي في النظر لها إلهي قد جرت على نفسي في النظر لها فلها الويل إن لم تغفر لها إلهي لم يزل برك علي أيام حياتي فلا تقطع برك عني في مماتي إلهي كيف آيس من حسن نظرك لي بعد مماتي وأنت لم تولني إلا الجميل في حياتي إلهي تول من أمري ما أنت أهله وعد علي بفضلك على مذنب قد غمره جهله إلهي قد سترت علي ذنوبا في الدنيا وأنا أحوج إلى سترها علي منك في الأخرى إلهي قد أحسنت إلي إذ لم تظهرها لأحد من عبادك الصالحين فلا تفضحني يوم القيامة على رؤوس الأشهاد. إلهي جودك بسط أملي، وعفوك أفضل من عملي. إلهي فسرني بلقائك يوم تقضي فيه بين عبادك. إلهي اعتذاري إليك اعتذار من لم يستغني عن قبول عذري، فاقبل عذري يا أكرم من اعتذر إليه المسيئون. إلهي لا ترد حاجتي ولا تخيب طمعي ولا تقطع منك رجائي وأملي. إلهي لو أردت هواني لم تهدني، ولو أردت فضيحتي لم تعافني. إلهي ما أظنك تردني في حاجة قد أفنيت عمري في طلبها منك. إلهي فلك الحمد أبدا دائما سرمدا، يزيد ولا يبيد كما تحب وترضى. إلهي إن أخذتني بجرمي أخذتك بعفوك، وإن أخذتني بذنوبي أخذتك بمغفرتك، وإن أدخلتني النار 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 أعلمت أهلها أني أحبك. إلهي إن كان قد صغر في جنب طاعتك عملي، فقد كبر في جنب رجائك أملي. إلهي كيف أنقلب من عندك بالخيبة محروما، وقد كان حسن ظني بجودك أن تقلبني بالنجاة مرحوما. إلهي وقد أفنيت عمري في شرة السهو عنك، وأبليت شبابي في سكرة التباعد منك. إلهي فلم أستيقظ أيام اغتراري بك وركوني إلى سبيل سخطك. إلهي وأنا عبدك وابن عبدك قائم بين يديك متوسل بكرمك إليك. إلهي أنا عبد أتنصل إليك مما كنت واجهك به من قلة استحيائي من نظري، وأطلب العفو منك بالعفو نعت لكرمي. إلهي لم يكن لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتي، إلهي لم يكن لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتك إلا في وقت أيقظتني لمحبتك، وكما أردت أن أكون كنت. فشكرتك بإدخالي في كرمك ولتطهير قلبي من أوساخ الغفلة عنك. إلهي انظر إلي نظر من ناديته فأجابك، واستعملته بمعونتك فأطاعك. يا قريبا لا يبعد عن المغترب، ويا جوادا لا يبخل عمن رجا ثوابه. إلهي هب لي قلبا يدنيه منك شوقه، ولسانا يرفع إليك صدقه، ونظرا يقربه إليك حقه. إلهي إن من تعرف بك غير مجهول، ومن لاذ بك غير مخذول، ومن أقبلت عليه غير مملوك. إلهي إن من انتهج بك لمستنير، وإن من اعتصم بك لمستجير. وقد لذت بك يا إلهي، فلا تخيم ظني من رحمتك، ولا تحجبني عن رأفتك. إلهي يقمني في أهل ولايتك مقام من رجا الزيادة من محبتك. إلهي والهمني ولهن بذكرك إلى ذكرك، واجعل همتي في روح نجاح أسمائك ومحل قدسك. إلهي بك عليك، إلهي بك عليك إلا لحقتني بمحل أهل طاعتك والمصوى الصالح من مرضاتك. فإني لا أقدر لنفسي دفعا، ولا أملك لها نفعا. إلهي إلهي أنا عبدك الضعيف المذنب، ومملوكك المنيب. فلا تجعلني ممن صرفت عنه وجهك وحجبه سهوه عن عفوك. إلهي هب لي كمال الانقطاع إليك، وأنر أبصار قلوبنا بضياء نظرها إليك، حتى تخرق أبصار القلوب حجب النور، فتصل إلى معدن العظمة، وتصير أرواحنا معلقة بعز قدسك. إلهي واجعل لي ممن ناديته فأجابك، ولاحظته فصعق لجلالك، فناجيته سرا وعمل لك جهرا. إلهي لم أسلط على حسن ظني قنوط الإياس، ولا انقطع رجائي من جميل كرمك. إلهي إن كانت الخطايا قد أسقطتني لديك فاصفح عني بحسن توكلي عليك. إلهي إن حطتني الذنوب من مكارم لطفك فقد نباني اليقين وإلى كرم عفوك. إلهي إن أنامتني الغفلة عن الاستعداد للقائك فقد نبهتني المعرفة بكرم آلائك. إلهي إن دعاني إلى النار عظيم عقابك فقد دعاني إلى الجنة جزيل ثوابك. إلهي فلك أسأل وإليك أبتهل وأرغب أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن تجعلني ممن يديم ذكرك ولا ينقض عهدك ولا يغفل عن شكرك ولا يستخف بأمرك. إلهي وألحقني بنور عزك الأبهج فأكون لك عارفا وعن سواك منحرفا ومنك خائفا مراقبا يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. وصلى الله على محمد رسوله وآله الطاهرين وسلم تسليما كثيرا.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So tonight we are very privileged to have presenting for us our teacher, Shaykh Dr. Haider Hobbollah, presenting about Shi'ism in the 1st and 2nd centuries. Before I invite him to take the stage and enlighten us with his presentation, can I ask everyone please to move as far forward as possible. Of course, the further forward you move, the better you'll be able to see the screen as well. But besides that, it'll be nice of you all to move forward with salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الأكرمين. First of all, I must point out that I cannot discuss the entire history of Shi'ism here, as the topic is far too extensive. So I will limit myself to a very brief and condensed overview of Shi'ism in the 1st and 2nd century after Hijrah. And I hopefully then we can expand on this further on other occasions, inshallah. So just in the 1st and 2nd century, and very brief. Shi'ism is one of the major doctrines in Islamic history. This doctrine had states that ruled over vast lands of the Islamic world. The Shia were not just an opposition movement against the ruling authorities throughout history, as some people thought that, but they had their own major states, such as the Fatimid state in Egypt and North Africa, and Idrisid state in Morocco, the Alawi state in the Daylam region today, it's Mazandaran, northern Iran today, the Hamadanid state in Syria, Mosul and Kirkuk, the Safavid state in Iran, and others, up to present day Islamic Republic of Iran. The original Shia idea is centered around preferring, notice preferring, just preferring. I'm speaking now about the Shia, not the Imamiyya, not the Ithna Ashari, the whole Shia. So preferring Ali ibn Abi Talib over the other companions and caliphs, and that he was the most rightful to the caliphate after the Prophet. However, throughout history, the Shia have not held the same opinion regarding the first three caliphs. Some severely criticized them and accused them to usurping the caliphate to the extent of calling for cursing them. This includes many 12er Imami Shia, as well as the Jarudiyya sect in the Zaydi Shia. While other Shia saw that preferring Ali bin Abi Talib does not necessitate adopting a negative stance towards the early caliphs. Rather, we fault them, but we respect them and see the legitimacy of their authority. This includes many Zaydi doctrines. The first starting point of Shi'ism came with the issue of the caliphate after the Prophet's death. A group of companions gathered around Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, such as Ammar ibn Yasir, al-Miqdad, Salman al-Farisi, and others. But there were no confrontations or clashes during that period, except for the first few days and what is related to the incident of Fatima salamullahi alayha and other matters that Muslim historians differed over. On the contrary, we find that some of the senior companions of Imam Ali were commanders and governors during the periods of Abu Bakr and Umar ibn al-Khattab. However, the revolution led by a number of Muslims, especially some Egyptians, against the third Caliph, Uthman ibn Affan in 35th century after Hijrah, began to shape a new phase in Shia history because the killing of Uthman brought Ali ibn Abi Talib to power. It was also one of the reasons that pushed some Muslims, killing Uthman, pushed some Muslims led by Talha and Zubayr and Aisha, the Prophet's wife, to demand that Ali avenge Uthman's blood. When Ali did not do so, they mobilized an army to Basra, leading to the Battle of the Camel between them and Ali. This battle was a clear beginning for the formation of a strong group led by Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali defeated Aisha's army in the Battle of the Camel, and in the process, many fighters joined Ali's army. Ali then prepared to confront the breakaway of the Levant, Syria today, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, from the central caliphate in Kufa under the leadership of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. This led to the Battle of Siffin, which took place in an area called Siffin, near the city of Raqqa in northern Syria today. At its end, and this is very, very important, and its end, this war, the outcome, I don't want to go to the details of all these wars, and its end, the outcome of the war in Siffin created a split within Imam Ali's army, and a splinter group known as the Kharijites emerged. Later on, Imam Ali then fought this group in the Battle of Nahrawan, killing most of them. So now we have three wars, the Jamal, Al-Camel, and Siffin, and Nahrawan. The split within Imam Ali's army and among Ali's supporters, Ali's Shia in Iraq, was greater than we imagine. It led to falling out between Ali and many of his soldiers, to the extent that he would constantly criticize them and say, Muawiyah's soldiers are better than you, and I wish I could get one soldier from Muawiyah's army in exchange for 10 of you, as came in one of his sermons in Nahjul Balagha. This is the problem between Ali now and his Shia. This split was the beginning of a state of chaos within Ali's party that later caused many Shi'is divisions. After the martyrdom of Imam Ali at the hands of one of the Kharijis called Abdul Rahman ibn Muljam al-Muradi, his son Imam al-Hassan was unable to consolidate his authority because of all these problems. Also, he asked the Shia to march with him to fight Muawiyah. He failed to achieve that, and they rebelled against him, forcing him to cede power to Muawiyah. His rule lasted no more than a few months. Some historians and sociologists believe that the nature of the Arab society in Iraq at that time played a role in the successive divisions within the Shia community loyal to Ali. Most of them were Arab tribes who migrated from the Arabian Peninsula towards Kufa, which was no more than a military base where fighters gathered during Umar ibn al-Khattab's time to prepare to confront Persians' armies. This tribal diversity, lacking the lifestyle of the people of city, made tribal divisions very common, which made it difficult for Ali and Al-Hassan to manage the social and political situation there. During the periods of Uthman and Ali, between 30-40 after Hijrah, a faction emerged within Shia circles that researchers have written extensively about, some of whom consider it a myth, while others confirm its existence, the Saba'iyya sect. They state that a man named Abdullah ibn Saba, a Yemeni Jew from Sana'a, converted to Islam during Uthman's time. He traveled to several cities to incite people against Uthman and instigated the Egyptians to revolt against Uthman. Later, Ibn Saba's name appears at the Battle of the Camel, where the Saba'iyya prevented reconciliation between the two camps agitating both sides to cause strife. They say Imam Ali executed him, Abdullah bin Saba, while others say he was exiled to the city of Al-Madain in Iraq in 37 after Hijrah. Ali was killed. He denied his death and said, Ali does not die. Some historians state regarding the beliefs of this group at that early time in Shia community that they believed in, one, the Prophet's return after his death, raj'ah, the concept of wasiyya, successorship, based on every prophet having a successor, like Moses and Yusha bin Nun. The deification of Imam Ali and Ibn Saba claim to prophethood. The return, raj'ah, of Imam Ali. The belief that part of God dwelled in Ali and the Imams, cursing Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. However, much of the information about this sect is unclear, to be honest. So it is difficult to ascertain if they really held these beliefs in this form at that early time, between 30 and 40 after Hijrah. Let us return to history again. Al-Hasan's exit from power and his return from Kufa to live with his brother Al-Hussein and their families in Medina, followed by Muawiyah's oppression of the Shia in Iraq from 41 to 60 after Hijrah, made many Iraqi Shia feel frustrated, hopeless, and lost. Thus, when Muawiyah died and his son Yazid came to power, and the people of Iraq learned that Al-Hussein alayhi salam had refused to give the bay'ah to Yazid and went to Mecca, they quickly sent letters to him asking him to come to them and restore Ali's rule over them. Al-Hussein responded to them, as we all know, but they split yet again due to intimidation and threats by Ibn Ziyad's army, abandoning Al-Hussein in 61 after Hijrah. Now, the beginning of the real story. The conditions of the Shia, their lives, their history, their thoughts before Al-Hussein's martyrdom were completely different from what came after. While they were silent during Muawiyah's time, the Shia were silent during Muawiyah's time, they exploded in anger after Al-Hussein's killing, feeling guilty towards the Prophet's family. Shi'ism transferred into a revolutionary opposition to the authorities. Ali ibn Abi Talib did not revolt against anyone before taking power himself. Rather, others revolted against him after he took power in 35 after Hijrah. Likewise with Imam al-Hasan. But what happened after Al-Hussein's killing was completely different, shaping a new identity for the Shia, the revolutionary, militant, armed political identity. This led to the emergence of the Tawwabun revolutions in Iraq, like Al-Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. Many of them claimed that had permission for armed revolt against Umayyad rule, sometimes from Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah is the son of Imam Ali. And another time they said we have permission from Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein Zayn al-Abidin. But there is no confirmation of this, that they had this permission. Here, the Kaysaniya doctrine emerged, considered one of the first Shi'i theological political sects. Now, this is very important. We should pause briefly on the Kaysaniya Shi'i doctrine. This name Kaysan is said to be a nickname for Al-Mukhtar bin Ubaidillah al-Thaqafi, given to him by Ibn al-Hanafiyyah for his intelligence. Kayyis in Arabic, it means clever. It is also said to be Ibn al-Hanafiyyah's own nickname. Some historians of theology see the Kaysaniya is the first appearance of extremism, of ghulu,
among the Shia after the Saba'iyya, Abdullah ibn Saba, identifying them with the Mukhtar's group, Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. They attributed to them beliefs like: 1. Mahdiism and the occultation of Ibn al-Hanafiyyah. He is the Mahdi and he is now Ghaib. Professor Mudarrisi Tabatabai states that the idea of the Mahdi emerged strongly with the Kaysaniyya at that time. 2. Raj'a, return after death before Yawm al-Qiyamah. 3. Allegorical interpretation of the Quran. 4. The prophethood of Ali and his 3 sons, Al-Hassan, Al-Hussein, and Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. It is difficult to ascertain whether there existed a good relationship between Imam Zayn al-Abidin, al-Baqir, and al-Sadiq with the Kaysaniyya sect and other sects that emerged from it in the 2nd century after Hijrah. Rather, we find narrations in which the Imams criticize some ideas put forward by the Kaysaniyya. At the end of the 1st century after Hijrah and beginning of the 2nd century, a major shift occurred within Shi'i life. Please, now we have very important time. This shift was the emergence of Al-Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. This Imam transferred the Shia from a state of political conflict and intellectual chaos to a state of knowledge, learning, and understanding religion. He began nurturing generations of scholars and jurists. Thus, we find thousands of narrations from him in Shia books, while we do not find even 10% as many narrations from Ali ibn Abi Talib and Hassan and Hussein and Zainul Abidin, compared all these Imams, compared to Al-Baqir and then his son Ja'far al-Sadiq after him. Just 10% if you compare. The important thing we discover is that the Shia before Al-Baqir were not very concerned with religious knowledge, rituals, and jurisprudence. They were preoccupied with political life and their difficult circumstances. But with Al-Baqir and Al-Sadiq, scholars began to emerge among them, and they became concerned with building a religious sectarian identity. Also, very importantly, Al-Baqir shifted Shi'ism from being a political dispute over who should rule after the Prophet to a religious sectarian identity. It shifted from the caliphate to guardianship, wilaya, the religious meaning now between Imams and the Shia. For this reason, some researchers considered Muhammad al-Baqir as the founder of Shi'i thought, followed by As-Sadiq. However, the mission of Imam al-Baqir and then As-Sadiq was never easy, and their circumstances were very difficult. At the beginning of the 2nd century after Hijrah, Shi'i revolts against the Umayyads continued, and slowly tremendous divisions emerged within the Shia. The divisions were mainly between two opposing movements, one calling for continuing armed revolt and political action led by the Zaydis and Hassanis from the lineage of Imam al-Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the other movement arguing that armed revolt against the Umayyads was not appropriate at that time, rather it was time to build faith and knowledge. Thus, the Baqir and Al-Sadiq were on one side, while the Zaydis and Hassanis were on the other. The Zaydi Shia doctrine emerged strongly, emphasizing the idea that the Imam is one who brings out his sword and presents a political and social project to the nation, not one who sits in his home practicing taqiyya, dissimulation. Many heated debates occurred between the Zaydis and the Sadiq's companions, recorded for us in history and books of hadith at that time. Therefore, we can saw currents emerged in Shi'ism. The first was political, military Shi'ism, Zaydis and Hassanis, and the second was Shi'ism of taqiyya, knowledge, and propagating religion until the emergence of the Mahdi. Two types of tashayyu' we have now at that time. However, the difference between the Zaydi doctrine and the other Shia loyal to Al-Baqir and As-Sadiq was not limited to this. Please notice, the Zaydis did not accept the concept of divine appointment of the Imams. Rather, they said they preferred Ali and denied the existence of the divinely appointed imamate. The Imam is anyone who brings out his sword, leads the nation, enjoys good and forbids evil, establishes God's laws. Whereas the trend surrounding Al-Baqir and As-Sadiq saw that the imamate must be divine appointment from God to his messenger, and each imam appoints the next imam as predetermined by God. So thus two concepts of imamate emerged now: the divinely appointment imamate and the political military imamate. The Zaydis separated from the followers of As-Sadiq at that time. Now we have two. The Zaydis became many at that time, not now. Became many, comprising a high percentage of all Shia at that time. They gained power and built a great state later in northern Iran, then moved to Yemen until today. Note here that Al-Baqir and As-Sadiq's followers emphasized the idea of the Mahdi and waiting for him to come rescue us, while Zayd ibn Ali's followers said no one should be waited. Rather, we must participate and act today. We are all Mahdis. This is their idea. Thus, some researchers, I'm here just a historian, not a theologian. Thus, some researchers today state that 20th century Shi'i political Islam movement, like Sayyid Khomeini's movement, is an Imami movement with the Zaydi flavor. Okay. Leaving the Zaydis and returning to the cause of Shi'ism surrounding the Imams, As-Sadiq and Al-Kadhim, we witnessed three major events in Shi'i history in the 2nd century after Hijrah, and I will finish. The first event. It looks like ghulat, huh? The picture. I would thank my daughter. She made the PowerPoint. So, first event, the rise of the ghulat, extremists. From the early 2nd century after Hijrah, extremist ideas spread greatly in Kufa, especially, which is considered the birthplace of extremists in this era. By the term ghulat, what's the meaning of ghulat at that time? By the term ghulat, what is meant are those groups characterized by one of two traits. First trait, exaggerating the status of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam to an almost superhuman level, to the extent of believing them to be gods or performing acts of gods, such as that God created the world and delegated it to the Ahlul Bayt to run. Many of them also believed in incarnation, meaning God incarnated in the Imams or embodied them. Some of them believed that the Imams were prophets, and so on. The second trait, permissiveness. And this was very, very dangerous idea in the history at that time. Meaning some tended to abrogate religious duties and permit prohibitions, claiming that prayer, fasting, Hajj, adultery are all just names mentioned in the Quran referring to either the Ahlul Bayt or their enemies, and nothing more. There's no salat, no Saum, no Hajj, no Haram, no Halal. All these names just Ahlul Bayt. So salat is Ali ibn Abi Talib, and adultery, for example, is Muawiyah. This is. So now we don't have any duties. The Ghulat turned into many groups, some of which undertook political military. That's very dangerous. They had power sometimes, not just a small group here and there. So some of which undertook political military activities and gained influence for a period of time. For example, the Junahiyya sect, founded by Abdullah ibn Muawiyah ibn Abdullah ibn Ja'far ibn Abi Talib. In 127 after Hijrah, he led a revolution that overthrew the governor of Kufa, then took control of vast lands in Iran and Iraq, Shiraz, Isfahan, Ray, Tehran today, etc. Before being defeated by the Umayyads, he fled to Khurasan but was killed in Herat in 129 after Hijrah. The struggle between Imam al-Baqir and al-Sadiq and the Ghulat was intense. Many statements were issued cursing them, calling on people to avoid them. But they would claim, they said, no, as-Sadiq with us. Why? They claim as-Sadiq only did this or said this out of taqiyya. The most dangerous extremist Ghulat sects in history was the Khattabiyya and Al-Mughiriyya. They would take the books of the Imam's companions, copy them, and insert their false narrations without anyone noticing. Many Imams and major narrators warned against them. This is the first event, what happened in the 2nd century. Yeah. The second one, the death of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq in 148 after Hijrah. As-Sadiq, as you know, had several sons, the oldest being Ismail. He was expected to be the next Imam, because people, they say the next Imam will be the oldest one. So Ismail. But Ismail died before As-Sadiq did, causing shock in community. When As-Sadiq died, his loyal Shia split into 2 groups. One said the Imam was Musa al-Kadhim, like the Ithna Ashari today. The other said it was Ismail. So Ismail died. No. The latter either denied he died during al-Sadiq's life, claiming he only disappeared, he will come again, or accepted his death but said the Imam after him, not Musa al-Kadhim, his son Muhammad ibn Ismail ibn Ja'far al-Sadiq. So that is not important for me. For me, the important is the type of Shi'ism we will see now. Thus emerged the Ismaili sect, which later split into numerous sects, most prominently the Nizaris Ismailis. They had great states throughout history, like the Fatimid Caliphate. They tend towards esotericism and allegorical interpretation. This is very important, this type of Shi'ism. And are present today in Tajikistan, Najran, in southern Saudi Arabia, India, northern Yemen, Syria, and elsewhere. Many researchers believe this split brought about 2 types of Shi'ism: the esoteric, allegorical, detached from law and rituals type. This is the first one. And the historical, spiritual, interpretive, jurisprudential type, like they said Imam Ithna Ashar. Thus some see that some esoteric ideas found in Imami Hadith today literature came from the Ghulat and Ismailis. Of course, this requires much research to confirm or negate. The third event, and I will finish. The death of Imam Musa al-Kadhim, 183 after Hijrah. To understand, this is the nice one. To understand what happened after his death, we must know that in the eras of Imam al-Sadiq and al-Kadhim, a relatively new phenomenon emerged among the Shia, the deputyship system, al-wikala. Al-wikala. The Imams would try to communicate with Shia present in different parts of the Islamic world, mainly through two well-known methods at that time. The first method, the Hajj season, where the Imams would emphasize to their followers to meet their Imam during Hajj. Tamamul Hajj liqa'ul Imam. It doesn't mean go to the qabr, to go to him at that time, to see him, to be in touch with him, for many reasons. They would teach them in this season, transmit hadith, exchange news, etc. Second method, deputies. The Imams appointed individuals in regions with Shia presence, like Khorasan, Rai, Tehran today, Kufa, etc. The deputies would relay news from the Imams and collect khums, religious texts, for them. This did not exist before the era of Imam al-Baqir. We don't have such a thing before Imam al-Baqir, and was very minimal during his time, becoming more widespread in the eras of As-Sadiq and Al-Kadhim afterwards. Thus, an economic, hierarchical system emerged to organize the Shia, the poor Shia, their life, because the Abbasis, they didn't give them money. Naturally, these deputies would have influence in society. That's normal because they have money. So this is the problem now, what's happening. When Imam Musa al-Kadhim passed away, some prominent Shia figures, including famous deputies, refused to acknowledge the imamate of Al-Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida and refused to send him the funds they had. They became known as the Waqifiyya. Those who stopped at Al-Kazim's imamate and rejected any imam after him. Many of them said Al-Kazim did not die and that he was the Mahdi, while the rest of the Shia said he died in prison. The significance of the Waqifiyya is that some major Shia scholars, that's very, very important, some major Shia scholars, narrators, and hadith transmitters of the time were among them. It's very important. Of 274 companions of Al-Imam al-Kadhim, some researchers say 64 belong to the Waqifiyya doctrine, causing great division within Shia society. Many narrations transmitted by them still exist today in 12 books, including the 4 books, Kutub al-Arba'a, numbering in hundreds, maybe more. These includes Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ini, Ziyad ibn Marwan al-Qandi, Uthman ibn Isa al-Rawasi, Sama'at ibn Mahran, Zur'at ibn Muhammad al-Hadrami, and others. They are very great scholars. However, the imamate of Imam al-Rida soon gained great influence among the Shia. Thus, after a century or two, the Waqifiyya doctrine disappeared. Today, to our knowledge, no one belongs to it. Allahu Akbar. So let's finish. From here, we can summarize the scene as follows. 1. The emergence of the first Shi'ism in the sense of love of Ali and Ali's family, preferring him over other companions and believing that he took precedence over the 3 caliphs. 2. Shi'ism turned into a clear political faction under the leadership of Imam Ali after the killing of Uthman ibn Affan, and Kufa turned into the main center of Shi'ism. 3. After the killing of Imam Hussein, Shi'ism took a revolutionary military direction against the existing authority, and some ghulu and extremist ideas began to appear. 4. During the time of Al-Imam al-Baqir, the Shiite movement began to form its own religious identity through him and his son Ja'far al-Sadiq. and generations of scholars, narrators, and jurists appeared, and little by little, the revolutionary political movement represented by the Zaydis and Hassanids began to separate from Al-Imam al-Sadiq. So religious Shi'ism and political Shi'ism, so to speak, appeared. 5. The beginning of the 2nd century after Hijrah was the start of the Ghulu, who left a great impact on Shiite thought, and the Imams confronted them in a strong manner, and their influence continued for about 2 centuries at least. 6. After the death of As-Sadiq, the Shia divided into an esoteric sect presented by Ismailism, and another Imami sect that continued with Imam Musa al-Kadhim. 7. And the last one, the great division was repeated after the death of al-Kadhim in the late 2nd century after Hijrah. Waqifism appeared, but it became extinct after about a century or 2. I would also like to talk about the history of mourning of Imam Hussein in the 1st and 2nd centuries after Hijrah, but time does not permit us. I will decide that if you want, maybe before Muharram, inshallah, to give a lecture to this topic in which we will talk about the history of mourning from the time of Shahadat al-Imam al-Hussein until today, God willing. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaykh. I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that was extremely enlightening, and I'm sure it has raised many questions, which we'll go on to now. But just before we do that, I'm going to let everyone online know and everyone here know that at this point the streaming will stop, the live streaming, and it will no longer be streamed from this point onwards, so we can start the Q&A session here. I know there's many questions that I have just so I'm going to start myself, since I have the mic in my hand anyway, with the first one. Is that Shaykh,